this joke that really like when you were comparing three big religions, you then say that the only thing that distinguishes the three major religions is their relationship with children. The Catholic, I don't know what verb to use. Your Catholic them, the Jewish people kill them, and the Muslim marry them.
L'unica cosa che distingue le grandi religioni del libro è il rapporto che hanno con i bambini. Cioè i cattolici li scopano, gli ebrei li uccidono e i musulmani li sposano.
Hello, welcome to Comedy with an Accent podcast. I'm your Taiwanese comedian, Wen. I interview comedians who perform English stand-up comedy but who are not native English speakers or they can have a very distinct British regional accent. This podcast is all about comedy, about accent, about languages, and about the comedy technique. So stay tuned if you're interested.
Sometimes I get an Italian accent, sometimes I get an Albanian accent. Depends on
That's absolutely fine. Okay, are we all good? All right, welcome back to Comedy with an Accent podcast. Pronto?
Pronto.
Benvenuto, benvenuta in un nuovo episodio di podcast Commedia con accento. E ho invitato un alto ospite di lingua italiana. Today I have a second Italian speaking guest, hence a little bit low level, the livello basso Italian at the start. I don't know, I was like, should I learn some Albanian to greet him as well? Well, eventually I didn't because it seemed very difficult. Because today our second Italian speaking guest is Albanian Italian comedian Xhuliano Dule. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Your Italian is impressive, by the way.
You have a very low bar, I think.
No, yeah, but I mean, no one is really learning Italian. Not even Italians are learning Italian.
Yes, I can tell you who learns Italian.
Yeah.
In my Italian class in London, most people learn Italian as their second or third foreign language, so never the first choice.
It's never the first. Like, because have you seen all the Italians trying to learn very badly English to go away from Italy? It's sad because we're basically becoming what Albania was in the 90s, a place where young people go away and try to find hope everywhere else. I mean,
you're jumping straight into the big topic. So let me finish this. The profile of people who bother to learn Italian. In my Italian class in London, pensioners who have too much money and they just go to different Italian regions. So
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Like, I know how much we love all the English people coming in our country and saying...
There is someone in my Italian class, they go to Dolomite every year.
Yeah. Close where I live. We have an invasion of all English pensioners. They go around asking for Sunday roast. And people are like, no.
Yeah, just make sure you get the money from them. They don't let them use your house system.
Yeah, I know. They're going to use our... that's why I'm paying for them too as well. Because they come in Italy to get sick because the NHS...
But I disagree. I don't think no one is learning Italian. At least the musicians, the opera students.
Yeah, the opera students. But you know that we cannot understand anything of what is said during the operas. Figaro là, Figaro su, Figaro giù. That's why when you go to the opera, you have a little book with you. The lyrics are written in there, so you have to read it. Because it's impossible to understand.
Okay, at least third, I think, Chinese business investor who try to pretend their product is made in the EU. So they just need the final whitewash of... They just buy a little factory in Toscana or Emilia.
In Prato, yes.
So they 98% made in China, but finally they stitch a label on in Italy. So those people will be willing to learn rudimentary level of Italian.
That's why. No, you're right. I don't know. My dad...
Ho ragione.
You're right. Also, I'm a bit scared because my dad is going to China in 3 days and I don't want him to get arrested, so it's fine.
It's all right. I won't release this episode until a couple of months later. So, sorry, we got into a little chat too quickly because I last saw Xhuliano in a little dodgy pizzeria in Wimbledon, or was it Richmond?
No idea. I think it was called La Pizzica, but I don't remember the area.
We crossed paths a long time ago, but really, I think we clicked. We had really good conversation, but we haven't met each other a lot of...
I think we met also in Edinburgh, the Fringe Festival.
Oh, what's it? I don't remember that.
Yeah, see how important I am? He doesn't even remember me.
I'm sorry. You are big in the Italian sphere, right? That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You're right.
Giuliano is a big star in Italy. And can I say native Italy? Does that offend you if I say native?
I don't know, because I'm not native in Italy, no?
You're naturalized Italy.
Yeah, naturalized Italian, not native. Not original Italian.
Okay, so let's explain. I tried to look into and research my guest, but Xhuliano has very little information in English out there. And my Italian is very, very, very beginner-like. So thanks to AI and YouTube translation, I watch his show. I'm going to change the question structure today because normally I ask people whether they have an accent when they speak English. This is not going to be the primary language today because Xhuliano, in general, perform in Italian. And I hope this is not the point you switch off this episode. I promise you. Who cares about Italy?
We have enough dishwashers in
No, if you've listened to this podcast long enough, I think the essence of cross-cultural experience is very similar. You need to adapt and you need to accommodate and you need to experience a culture shock. You need to learn how things work in another culture when you may have a different cultural heritage. And even though Xhuliano's experience is Italian, his native family left Albania when he was a kid, 5-6 years old.
5-6 years.
He grew up in Italy and there was a lot of bullying and discrimination. And it's all very rich material for him. And I was fascinated by how he changed those life experiences into his joke. And I am running out of guesses. No, I pride myself of having people on where people only looking at what happens in the UK don't. I think you'll be offering a lot of very insightful, I don't know, your personal take, your information as a performer, even though you perform mostly in Italian. So before we dive further into your story,
yes,
Xhuliano, I would ask you, even though I'd love to try to do it in Italian, I shouldn't antagonize my listener further with my Chinese accented Italian. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, when you speak Italian, do you have an accent? Hai un accento?
I do have an accent when I speak in Italian, but it's the accent of the most racist part of Italy.
Which is?
Which is Veneto. For example, let's say I go into a cab in Italy. In Italy, cab drivers are very known for being racist.
I think it's universal.
It's universal? Okay, that's good. So when I go to in a cab in Italy, in a taxi, they would listen to my accent and they go, finally, free speech.
Okay, we first have to explain. If you think Veneto sounds very close to Venice, it is basically the region surrounding Venice.
Exactly.
Yes. You know that the Americans pronounce Veneto differently from the British.
How do you pronounce?
So British would say Veneto, and Americans say Veneto.
Veneto.
That is a blasphemy. So Veneto, and it's Italy. My tutor say that too. My tutor is from Lazio.
Yeah.
He says he's from Rome. He's not really from Rome. He's from Lazio.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't know.
And sometimes we kind of say that, why you just like swear so easily? It's like, well, at least I'm not from Veneto.
Yeah, because you call it swear, we call it blasphemy.
Why? Is it because the city is sinking? So people just be... It's like, we cannot find God. So
Global
we just
warming.
swear.
Was born in order to avoid getting, can I say, by Genghis Khan coming down to the countryside.
You can, but I will edit out.
Yeah.
I will probably beat it. So
yeah, they would avoid getting murdered by Genghis Khan, and so they found the only place there was a small island. So they went there already. So they were already cursing.
Right. Okay, let's go back to the cab driver thing.
No, we curse a lot, and then
who in Italy is known for fake politeness and not swear quite much?
It's the first capital of Italy, which was Turin.
Torino.
Oh,
people from Turin, the what's the region?
Piemonte.
So those people are known for
because they're
having a little bit just
because they're close to the French. They're basically French people. And so they're fake. No, I love how the other day I was buying some wine.
Oh, I watch your special. You are full of stereotypes, so don't you dare stay shy out of those.
No, I mean not stereotypes. I mean, I always say this joke about stereotypes. As an Albanian, I go around, I perform in Spain, in France, in the Netherlands, and in England. And everywhere I go, the stereotypes for Albanian are always the same, which is always cocaine dealing and stabbing people around. And
do you know why? It's because the film Taken.
Yeah. They were the worst criminals.
You know how much your ex-basketball player is president or prime minister and trying to disguise the old image?
Eddie Rama.
What Taker done to Albania is as bad as how Borat has done to Kazakhstan. I will fight. And I have to say there's a bit of hypocrisy in there because Liam Neeson is Northern Irish and Northern Ireland is also known for paramilitary criminals and violence. So
Yeah, up the ra, as like comedians from the north. We hate Liam Neeson in Albania because also
but why not Serbians, right?
Yeah, but
There's so many countries in Balkan. Pick another one.
Kidnapping is their thing.
They have a war criminal already. Just double down on
They have it even in the government. So it's like...
I have some secret listener from Serbia. And to the point, Serbia got into like top 5 or top 10 listening country. I keep appealing, saying, whoever are listening, please come forward. And they never got in touch.
It was a pleasure for me to perform for the last time.
And after this episode, I think I'm going to lose them permanently.
No, I love Serbia. I love Serbia.
Back to the driver story.
No, to the driver story.
So for the Italian listeners, you do have an accent.
I do have an accent.
But it's a very distinct and very easy to recognize regional accent in Italy.
It is very easy because Italian language, as we were saying before, doesn't really exist. No?
Yeah.
It's just like
so as you described, you speak as if you had lobotomy.
Yeah, exactly. But because it's very the northern you go, the drunker you are when you speak it. Basically, the accents in the north are made for drunk people to speak very easily because they drink a lot. The southern is more musical, no? If you think about Napoli, which is badda bibbi boo 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 Napoli, the Italian normal accent when you get abroad is from Napoli or Sicily because the mafia movie.
I did have a friend who is from Brescia, and I wanted to learn Italian from him. He then say, "Please don't.
Don't."
I speak one of the ugliest accents,
and it's very, it's awful. It's awful. It's like learning English from Newcastle. It's like.
All right. I think I need to give my listener a little bit of background knowledge because not a lot of people know Italy or Italian language that well. So. Italy, when united, was a land of multiple languages. They all derive from Latin. There are some mutual intelligibility, but it's not exactly the same. And to unify the nation, they had to choose one language to become the national language. And it was from Florence, was it?
Florence, yes,
Toscana.
The language of the poet, of Dante Alighieri, like the Divine Comedy or...
Yeah, so they chose the Tuscan dialect language and elevate it into Italian language. So the older generation mostly would speak at home. For example, people from Napoli will speak
Napolitano.
How to say that in English?
Napoli.
I don't know. When I
it's very hard because also we have 7 of those are recognized languages. So if you say once, for example, I said the Sardinian dialect. And I got trashed in the comments by all these Sardinian guys. They were like, "Oh, it's not a dialect; it's a language. It's been recognized."
But it's true. I agree.
Yeah. No, they were right. They were right. Also, it was very hard because I had to translate what they were writing because it was written in Sardinian, so I couldn't understand it.
You're so mean. But when you perform, you describe Sardo, the Sardinian, as a language rather than a dialect. You also get attacked from some other people, right?
Yeah, because
so
of course.
What do you have to virtue signal on this point?
No, because I like the Sardinians. They're cool people. They're
No, they are butt of your jokes all the time.
Yeah, but that's why I have to say it because they're very small and no, I'm kidding. They're very short.
I think some people will have the idea, whatever country you're in, there are always regional stereotype and there are always regional accents. So in every country, you will mock how people speak. But I have to say, insofar as Taiwan is concerned, the way we speak differently across different regions in Taiwan cannot be compared to the vast difference between some major Italian regions.
No, because if you get a guy from Veneto talking to a guy from Sicily in their language, which is the Venetian language and the Sicilian language, they have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah, it's interesting when Italians speak with each other, they try to locate or ascertain where the other person comes from first. If you have an accent that cannot be placed easily, do they comment on that? Say, I can't place your accent.
Yeah, because it's very hard to find people that speak. Here you would call BBC English or they play in Italian. It's very hard to find people to speak without an accent. If usually when they do speak without an accent, they're usually actors. Which is the worst type of humans. No, I'm kidding.
I remember watching different YouTube video and someone in Italy commented on the most sort of theoretically standard accent they found is actually an anchor woman from Südtirol, whose mother tongue was supposed to be German. Yeah, but she had to learn Italian. And so the Italian that she acquired is more standard than majority of other Italians.
Yeah, but that's a weird thing about Italy because you have like 20 different regional languages. And then you have like one standard Italian, which is like we call it indizione, so it's like the plain Italian. And no one speaks it. But in every movie, everyone speaks plain Italian because they learn it in acting school. And you're like, but why? Who is this guy from like the periphery of Brescia going around and speaking like, the other day? They speak like Shakespearean's actor, which is crazy.
I do notice some of my guests, they have an acting background. Their diction can be so much better. That's definitely a fact because when I edit, some people speak slowly.
Are you trying to say that I speak very badly?
No, I'm trying to hear that speak up. No, I'm not.
We have the lowest level of graduates in Europe. And we do have.
While you're here self-deprecating on behalf of Italian, I can see the racists trying to say, "Tu Albanese do not speak on behalf."
I mean, they're like the statistics came out every year, and Italy is like the lowest level of graduates along with Greece, which was weird because apparently we were like the two theoretically inventors of the European civilization in Italy and Greece.
Okay, so how does having a Veneto accent affect how potentially different Italian audiences see you? Can people tell you have Albanian heritage if you don't mention it? Visually, I don't think they can though. Can
Visually, only if you look me like on the profile, because I have like a squared head, which is a very typical of the Albanians. And there is a joke about, why Albanians have a square head? So it can fit easily in your windows.
So you are a affirmation to the stereotype?
Yeah, sometimes stereotypes are.
But is it subtle or is it very obvious?
No, for me it's impossible to see it. Like the only way they can see it is when they look at my documents. Like
and the way your name is spelled.
Yeah, but they usually think I'm Chinese.
When what do you want me to say to that?
No, I don't know. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you that. But there are also Chinese people in Italy, they get upset. Like during the COVID, we had the Green Pass. You had to show the Green Pass, which was like a thing where you got vaccinated to enter into a pub. And I remember this Chinese woman, she looked at my passport.
Yeah.
She looked up at me and said, Ni hao. And I was like, what's going on? And she said, oh, so you don't speak Chinese? That's very bad. You should learn your language of your mother tongue. But I'm not Chinese. You're also ashamed of being Chinese? I was like, no, please, come on. They think I'm Chinese. I don't know why.
It could be, I think, from where the Uyghur.
Yeah, the Muslims. Why it always gets back to me being Muslim? That's like...
You started this conversation.
I know. It's my bad.
If someone tells me you are a biracial kid, like a Chinese and white mix, I will buy it.
You'll buy it? I have a very good picture when I'm a kid. I really look Korean. Yeah, I'll show you later. But the people in Italy, when they see like the Veneto accent, I don't know what is the most racist part in England when it comes to, I don't know, Nigel Farage vote, whatever.
The seaside town, Essex, I guess.
Yes, Essex. Yeah. Okay. Let's say like you see someone from that area doing the jokes I do, like people, for example, from the south, in the beginning they get a little bit upset because like, oh, we have another racist from the north just trying to play on stereotypes. But then when they discovered I'm Albanian, the mind gets blown. I've never seen such a beautiful mix. There is an Albanian that speaks the language of the racists. It's beautiful. We have an incantation here. This is a magician. And then they start asking questions. They're very interested into that because, nowadays it's becoming more and more like common.
Is it possible that you like to mention your Albanian heritage? Maybe it's not the major intention, but it kind of balances out a very strong stereotype imposed by your Venetian accent?
I think it's the other way around.
In what way?
It was the other way around because I'm Albanian and I grew up with strong stereotypes. As an Albanian in Italy, I was like, got stereotyped against. No, I don't know, I'm inventing words. But like they put a lot of stereotypes on us because we were...
You must be a mini criminal, things like that.
Yeah. To be fair, most of them were right because we used to deal when I was a kid. But that's not important. They didn't know that.
This would be the trailer of this. If Taken doing a sequel and want to cast you as a major criminal, would you do it?
Only if I win. No.
$2 million paycheck.
$2 million paycheck.
Met with the principal. I can see his face.
Very good. We take whatever kid you want. Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you. So you're saying when you grew up...
I think not a lot of people know that Albanians were the first big wave of migrations in Italy. After the collapse of the communist regime, 91, literally a newspaper at the time was called The Invasion. And everyone was extremely scared about, like, from those Albanians, because they would come. And as you get, when you get a mass escape from a country, like the jails were open, even real criminals went out of Albania. And so there was like this huge panic about the Albanians coming to Italy and doing like stealing, committing like sex offenses, crimes. And as a kid, I remember, like, when I was growing up in Veneto, I was the first immigrant in this very small town in the north. 300 inhabitants. I was the first Albanian.
3,000.
Yeah, 3,000.
You said 3,000
Yeah.
on Comedy Central.
Yeah, 3,000. Depends on where, because I grew up in a very small one and then I grew up in another one. But the very small one,
Rovigo.
no, the very small one is called Travettore di Rosà, but no one knows it.
But you're basically the group identified as the major immigration
Yeah.
with a sort of negative profile in Italy, or I'm saying in the
In
90s.
Italy, in the 90s, we're like the major immigration group. Like,
But there's a bit of hypocrisy on Italians' part, right? Because they colonized Albania during the war, the two great wars. So
no one talks about it.
it's similar to sometimes British people don't know exactly the country they colonized. Is they, well, you guys all come here. I was like, well, you established the link
but
first.
to be fair, at least with the British, it's easier to not know which country you colonized because they colonized half of the world.
Yeah, and when it's come to Italy, it's only Ethiopia.
3.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. It's like, it's not that. You know what's about the Italian? Just because they were shit at colonization.
I think it's because for North Italian, they'll be like, oh, we shouldn't have colonized South Italy first. So there's too many level of messed up.
There are many regrets in Italian history. One of them is having made Italy.
In your special, there are things I really like. There are things I personally don't agree with. But one thing I really, really like was the hierarchy of people getting discrimination. And you make fun of that. In the past, Irish people suffer from discrimination. Then other immigrants came from the Caribbean, for example, and they became a lower tier.
Yeah.
And Irish, who used to be the target of discrimination, became the abuser themselves. You were joking about this phenomenon. You were saved by subsequent wave of immigration, right?
Yes.
My question is, in contemporary Italy, in the stand-up world, would a non-ethnic minority Italian get away with this joke? Can they do the same joke you do without the audience sort of backlash? Or
That's an interesting question.
because you know when you do it, you have a certain get out of jail card.
Yeah, I think there is a very different idea of like PC, politically correctness in Italy compared to the UK. Like, for example, when I was doing the gong at the comedy store, I got sent away in the 4th minute for a joke against, I don't know, Britney Spears. And apparently it was very like bad because she's suffering from mental illness. You cannot make fun of her here. But in Italy, it's more like, okay, she's a millionaire. We don't really care. I don't think an Italian can do the same jokes I can about cultural diversity. It's also because we're at a different stage, I guess, when it comes to the
Cultural sensitivity
and the reappraisal of the personal space of the. I think we're more on a fighting stage, whereas the UK is more on a like consolidation stage.
So you think that Italy is probably where the UK was in the 2000s or late 90s, something like that?
I would say so because there is.
But what do you mean by fighting?
Because there are not many migrant comedians or like
So
artists.
now it's all right to just be heard first. And then we fine-tune the actual delivery, smooth it up later.
And what I used to say in Italy is like, I fight, which is like a very like, but with my friends, like with the activists and the guys I do, because I do a lot of also stand-up, I campaign for like to lower the years of residency in order to get the Italian citizenship.
You mean you get involved in political activism?
It wasn't political activism. It was just like one single issue, like referendum, because the people were asked to go to vote. And I was like, okay, with this issue, I care because I went through that. I went through 17 years of lines in the questura, which is like the police department that gives you away the residency permit. And I know how dehumanizing that thing is, especially for a child. And it was like, just lower the standard from 10 years to 5. So it's easier for people who go to school, for example, in Italy. Kids that are born here to become citizens, because if you're born in Italy, you have to wait until you're 18 to apply for Italian citizenship, and you cannot leave the country.
Yeah.
So it's very demeaning. I would say dehumanizing because, for example, if you go in a school trip with kids that are not Italian, you have to notify the police station because they're like in a risk of leaving. They're like a security risk.
Things that would not be considered even mildly acceptable here is still in practice
Yeah, the wave of migration in Italy is much more recent than it is in the UK. So the first big wave of migration was in the 90s. I guess here instead was in the 60s probably.
Yeah, so they have that decades to get used to integrating, having a multicultural, multiracial society. But it's relatively a more recent phenomenon for Italy.
And that's why, as a comedian, you have to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to racial stereotypes.
Because they don't show you that grace to say, okay, we'll be nice and just listen to you. You actually have to shout.
You have to fight a little bit for your space in TV. I was the first immigrant-born comedian to go, like, for example, in the major TV shows in Italy. I mean, here it sounds like, yeah, we've seen like plenty.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, been there, done that. Okay, another immigrant comedian. Oh my God, what are you going to talk about? Your shitty childhood and your parents. But in Italy, it's the first time that it happens. And I get so many like second generation, you would say in Italy, I don't know if here is offensive or not, or like born abroad and raised in Italy just like me, who are like very represented by this type of comedy because we grew up with blatant stereotypes being thrown against us. So what I'm doing now, at least trying, is to use those stereotypes in order to normalize the fact that we exist. It's just like a call of existence.
Right, okay. So because the existing stereotype plays on this group are still so dominant, the way you approach it cannot be too subtle, because if it's too subtle, people don't even notice it. And it probably just get ignored very quickly.
You get ignored very quickly and you need to make a lot like noise.
Okay, so you have to approach a stereotype still at the Russell Peters stage. The very strong stereotype, bang, bang, bang. You either play with it or revert it, but you can't be too subtle. You have to just say it. Yeah.
Sometimes, yes. I'm trying to do, is the first example to create is a kind of a second generation culture. In my mind, I don't want what happened, for example, with the Irish. That became racist themselves. Happens with like the Albanians, the Romanians, and the other in Italy.
The Albanian making fun of African immigrants.
And it's like, okay, yeah, we make fun of each other, but remember, we're the same group. You grew up in the poorest neighborhood in the town, and we're all like Nigerian, Romanian, the Gypsies, the Albanian. There was only one white guy. We would call him like Black. My name was like Albanian, then the Gypsy was called like Quasimodos or Esmeralda. We had all offensive nicknames for each other because it was the way the other people were calling us. And so we're like, let's take these offenses as ours and we take away the power from the words. That was the idea. So I grew up in this context, which I know maybe to someone that isn't grown up, I think I had the same conversation with Radu Isaac when I was coming to Italy. And he was like, when I came to the UK, I don't really feel like the same fight that you're saying that you felt growing up as a child in Italy, because things were already done there. It was like already accepted in London to be a migrant. It's not that accepted to be a migrant in Rome because we don't have that many.
Yeah.
The migrants we have, we call them expats. They're like the ones who work for the UN or like the agencies. You know, in the parliament was presented like a couple of weeks ago a law called anti-maranza, which technically means anti-Northern Africans. And maranza is like an offensive slang used for like, I don't know, in English would be the equivalent of calling a guy from Pakistan. Or that kind
I will beep the word just so you know. The P word. The P word.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know which word are like sensitive or not. So you would use that in the law request given to the parliament is anti-maranza. Can you imagine like the level of open racism?
In your comedy special, Fringo, which means new in Albanian, you use one word so often, and I'm not sure the YouTube translation was absolutely bang on. The word is Extracomunitario.
Yeah.
YouTube translate it as non-EU citizens. Kind of get that, but it doesn't. That word must exist for a reason. Instead of saying a straniero, like a foreigner, you chose to say extracomunitario. Can you explain to people why?
Yeah, extracomunitario, because and it comes from like, you know, the hierarchy of...
You didn't say immigrants, immigranti.
That's different because immigrants, a word that is related to the Italian background of leaving Italy in the early 20th century and going to the America. And
so your immigrant sounds like emigrants in English.
Immigranti italiani or emigrants. It's very close. Immigrants now in Italy is like a polite word, no?
I think immigrants is quite a neutral word in English.
No, in Italy it was used more from the left side of the political orientation.
I'm thinking when you distinguish between immigranti and extracomunitari, is it similar to the difference in English between immigrants and expats? So like people from the first world will call themselves expats because there's no way we are immigrants, right?
Yes, exactly. The difference in Italy is basically the Schengen. If you are...
It implies someone who got here illegally or from a third world country?
No, from a country which is not EU, and so your extracomunitari is all the people who have to line up and queue for the documents, and they get renewed every like year or two. And there are special requests for non-EU citizens in Italy.
But for example, Americans will be extracomunitari, but you don't really have them in mind when you say that.
No.
So the actual, so I'm just
it's third world, let's say,
dodgy countries for the races.
For Trump, like shithole countries.
Yeah, shithole countries in Trump's language, because it sounded a bit too obvious. And you say that people from shithole country, the audience will not like that. So we use the very technical jargon. They are the non-EU citizen. They are not in the Schengen zone. But effectively, you are dividing those people moving in between rich countries and poorer countries.
Yeah, because I'm using the nationals. I mean, if you look at the way the national jargon is shaped in Italy by the newspapers, it is shaped in the way that you have a difference between non-EU citizens, so extracomunitari. So let's say a guy from Bocconi, which is like a top-tier university in Italy, which would be like LSE, one of the first Albanians who got in Bocconi, they made a newspaper article about him. This guy is from Albania, was born in Albania, came here, like he's climbing the top of the... he's Italian with Albanian origin. And the moment was found out that he applied to Bocconi just to get in touch with rich people, put on a scam in order to steal artifacts like paintings and everything from the houses of the rich. The articles that came out after was like Extracomunitario Albanese, which is like non-native Albanian got into the Bocconi in order to steal paintings from rich people. So you know how the shaping of the...
Yeah. The same thing depending on who...
How well you're doing. Like if you're a good immigrant, you become, migrante with like a migrant Albanian or Romanian, Ghanese or Nigerian background. And then as the moment you do something bad, it becomes an extracomunitario from Nigeria or from Albania stole in this house.
So basically your identity is still conditional.
On your performance, yeah.
And where is the same double standard wouldn't be applied to...
No, not to Italians.
Not to Italians.
No, that's why they're doing a language
and
test.
that's according to your joke, that's why it's always after a world championship or like a World Cup, and they start to line by a little queue of immigrant children say, you tick the box so well. We are finally ready to welcome into our Grand Republic.
We need some of you. We need some of you. We need... France won the World Cup and they weren't totally white, so I guess to win the World Cup, we need to get some of you in.
Okay, I have a little bit more abrupt language here. Are you white for Italians?
No, I'm Albanian. I don't think there is are Italians white?
That's a good question. I think when Italian migrants moved to the USA, they weren't considered white. You can see how the world changed, right?
Yeah.
But you know where I'm coming from asking that question, right? It's back to the point when I was saying, if you don't really mention your Albanian heritage, and you don't show the spelling of your name, you can hide and disguise it really well.
Yeah. That's very handy with the police.
But you chose to say it because that was one of the main reasons you want your voice to be heard as a comedian. That is your raison d'être, right?
Ma raison d'être, you would say my zeitgeist, yeah.
Okay, do Italian audience, without you reminding them...
No, they wouldn't know.
No, would they remember that you're Muslim?
No.
Like sometimes you have to tell people, just so you know, Albania is not a Christian country, right?
They have no idea.
Really?
They have no idea.
You can't play with that directly. If you want to use it, you have to state it first.
Yeah. That's why I have a joke in my previous special. I think it's in Comedy Central Italy. Like that my dad tells me that we are Muslims. And so I discovered with the audience. And I was like, what? Really? Wasn't enough to be poor Albanian and migrants in northern Italy? We also need to be Muslims? And when they discovered with you, it's a bit sad because sometimes I have to be didascalic when it comes like to culture because the Italians are not really open to it. They don't really care about like the other cultures that live in Italy. They don't really know a lot about it. So you have to...
They don't really have that level of curiosity.
No, they're
But
not...
do you not think it's a double-edged sword though? Like you do very dark jokes and that's how you get away with some not so sensitive delivery sometimes.
Like which one, for example? Like, let's go into this. Which one you didn't like?
Like the glory hole one?
Yes.
And the courageous gay man in the 80s.
Okay.
Because I think there's more... Just to say, I don't fully agree with the uber sensitivity, But being a gay man before the world became very liberal, there was so much shame and danger. You couldn't come out. You actually unfairly will marry a woman just to hide the fact that you're gay. So it wasn't just being brave. I think being brave is oversimplification of what you're trying to describe with that surely army should recruit gay people because they are so brave that even though they were the HIV crisis, they would still go around sucking from glory hole. I'm not saying that this
If
joke...
you say it like this, the delivery was a bit better, eh?
No, it's just like there's more nuances to that. I think a lot of gay people today, even the younger boys, will not get it. But certain generation, people who lived through the AIDS crisis, I didn't, but I had to tell and understanding from people. Every day, every other week, someone would die, and their life is just full of funerals. There was a time, the 80s, when it was Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, and the government absolutely offered zero support and stigmatized those people. So I think in your joke repertoire in that special, that one will rank lower than other jokes. Does that make sense to you? I think you are a phenomenal comedian, so that's why I'm being honest with you.
I knew it because before putting out the special, there's a very close friend of mine who's like a great comedian in Italy, Daniele Gattano, who's like a phenomenal comedian, is gay. And I had this feeling, because he's very sensitive on these topics, and I actually asked him like to come to my house. Do you mind watching this bit with me? Can I get your idea on what's going on? He said the same thing that you said. And I was aware of the fact that it was an oversimplification of a very hard period of time. But I think because the joke was against a debate that has been done in Italy, which was extremely stupid. A former general of the army, now in politics, an EU parliamentarian called Vannacci. He wrote a book which was written like homosexuality is against nature and the army shouldn't get gay people to come in. Changing sex is illegal. So the level of the audience that might get that joke online would be already shocked by, like, you would probably only understand this type of reasoning in my head. Whereas when people know me as a comedian, they know, like, this comes from a good place. When I published this reel, like the first time when I did this joke, I got 14 death threats from like right-wingers in Italy saying, we're gonna come there and we're gonna kill you, we're gonna kill your family because like you're disrespecting the forces, the army and whatever. Yeah, I got so many troubles because, you know, I have also like a big issue with our vice president in Italy.
I don't. Can you explain it?
Yeah, I did a joke in TV against him, and it was related always to the Albanian community.
Is it Salvini?
Yes, Salvini. Matteo. Greetings, Matteo, if you're listening to this. I had a big controversy on the social media.
Matteo, I used to think you're hot, but just, you know, remove the hate a little bit. It's not sexy anymore. All right.
He's gonna not like this. So I had this big controversy with him, and I got posted on his social medias, all the jokes, and also he cut the joke, recreated it in a weird way. So it sounds like I just said, I hope that Salvini gets a heart attack, which was a completely different way of saying, was like, I am Albanian, I studied at the Bocconi University. I know that hearing Albanian and Bocconi in the same sentence might give a heart attack.
Oh, wow. That's a very... It's almost like how BBC deal with that. I don't. That's different because Donald Trump did want. I don't know. Let's not say it. I still want to go into the US sometime. But yeah, okay.
So like it completely changed the joke, and there has been like a time where I became kind of the champions of the left-wing comedians because we were like censored, and I got like a huge hate. I left for Albania for like 2 weeks without a cell phone because I got a lot of like, death threats.
But that wasn't really because you do your jokes quite in a irreverent way.
Yeah.
You want to take the piss out of as many targets as possible. So you didn't really want to be the symbol of a particular political...
No. I'm not really...
You want to speak for the immigrants, maybe?
Yeah.
But other than that, you don't want to particularly label left or right, I imagine.
No, I'm not really. Also, half of my family was in jail during the communist time in Albania, so it's going to be very hard for me to be like, yeah, Fidel Castro and Enver Hoxha, the Albanian dictator during 40 years. Also, I do a lot of satire, you would say, like in Italy as a genre, but it doesn't really have to be like...
Maybe more like political commentary.
Yeah, political jokes. I do that a lot. I also talk about like social issues. with the language. In a previous interview in Italy, I said, I try to fight political incorrectness with politically incorrectness. A way was like, okay, so you're bringing to the language, to the discourse, you're gonna like write an article about saying, oh, anti-maranza, like against the Maghreb, whatever. Okay, let's use the same speech pattern you're using against the power. See, you like it or not?
When people criticize you, they didn't know the other side, the threats you have to receive from the right wing, which is supposed to be their arch enemy, right?
Yeah.
So you're basically put in the positions like, do it, you're damned, or don't do it, you're damned.
I think my idea of like a comedian, it should be that by the end of your career, you got like hate from everyone at one point. I think a lot of people are getting very touched by words. I don't give that much importance to the power of words, in the sense that like I don't think any word can really offend me unless...
Oh, that's a great joke of yours. Yes.
Yeah. Like if it's true that words offends more than actions, why Israel in Palestine is dropping bombs and not podcasts.
Yeah, that's a great line. Why is the army not made up of PhD students in philosophy? Yes.
And instead it's made of guys like Vannacci, the guy we were like talking before, no? The guy was against homosexuals. And also, he's weird because, for example, he's against migration, but he's married to a Romanian girl.
Nigel Farage had a German wife and now a French girlfriend.
See?
They're all the same.
They're all the same everywhere in the world. If your identity, like let's say, for example, you do a joke about being... I remember one of your jokes, I think, got... you made a joke about Taiwan. I think you got like...
A lot of my kids are about Taiwan.
Yeah.
Major clickbait.
No, the clickbait's about that. I think I read some comments on some of the jokes, and I really liked the joke. I remember it was like brilliant. And I always think about it as in when your identity is political to some extent, and you joke about your identity, of course you're going to offend some people. It's not possible because your existence is an act of politics. You know what I mean? If you're like a gay Taiwanese in the UK and you do a joke about the China threat, you're going to get, of course, some Chinese who's going to say, yeah, like whatever. You're going to get some, I don't know, racist UK.
Imagine someone from Kosovo.
Yeah.
And just to say that their identity is not Serbian, but Kosovar.
Kosovar.
That would offend some Serbians already. So
they would be offended. Or let's imagine when you were talking about the dual identity, which is like the great introduction. My joke about dual identity is I'm Albanian, half Italian. When people find out, they always like ask me, but what do you feel the most? And every time I'm just like there, listen, officer, consider me just something that you like. I don't know, maybe a made in Italy product. I was made by unhappy people in the third world, imported illegally, and then refined in this country. Basically, I'm the human version of a Gucci's handbag. This joke went viral in Italy. I got 4 or 5 million views, which for Italy like is a huge number because we're only 60 million. And managed to offend 3 different categories of people for 3 different reasons. And it was brilliant. I offended the nationalistic Italians because they were like, oh no, made in Italy is not made in China. The Chinese.
How dare you give out the
How
secret?
dare you? Like,
But those nationalists, why don't they try to legislate and just root out those factories?
No, because it's easier to negate the reality or like... And then I managed to offend the nationalistic Albanians. They were like, Albania was never a country of the third world. We're never like the third world. We're like doing great. And
yes, you are.
and I'm just like, okay, guys. I was like, also, I was using the third world as a political idea. I wasn't using it to referring as poor countries. I was using it in the Tito way, like in the 60s, non-aligned.
What's the third group?
The third group, which is like the most important, was the Albanians who said, why on hell do you feel Italian?
Oh, you're not supposed to betray.
Yes, I betrayed them. And also, like, I mean, there are other Italians who said, why the hell do you feel Italian? Like the same thing. Also, like, why do you feel Albanian? You should be only one. So I guess when you're making fun of yourself and people see what you're going through and they already had that thought, they're like... You know, put it in a little box, as they say in the Book of Mormon, put it in a little box and crash it because they don't want to think about it. They get offended because you're showing them something they don't want to think about, no?
How dare you challenge my monocultural worldview?
Exactly.
You shouldn't have shattered it, yeah. I don't know whether it's a general Comedy Central Italy thing or just your clip they would put this little warning at the start. In questo programma si usa un linguaggio esplicito. La commediamo solo ad un pubblico adulto. So like they include explicit language recommended only to adults, right? Is your clip only? Or is
No, it's all the clips. Even observational comedians who don't use swear words. But because in Italy...
Is it because the Catholic nature of the country?
But Italy had like a ministry of censorship up until like the 80s and the 90s.
Ministry of censorship, like to discipline inappropriate language.
Yes. Also in movies, they would cut out like parts.
How did they cope with Berlusconi?
That's why he created its own television. No. It came later, but in the First Republic, there was a lot of... Italy has two, like after the World War, First Republic until 1991, and then the Second Republic, which is like the one we are living right now, because there was a big scandal on corruption, as you do in Italy. Tangentopoli was called. And I don't want to like get too long or like too philosophical on the thing, but it's like there is a high level of censorship which comes to religion. Religion, for example, is a very hot topic in Italy. It's very hard to speak about certain topics on TV. I don't know here in the BBC if it's the same. But
Still now
in Italy, like you don't have comedians doing bits on, or if they're doing bits, they're heavily regulated. Oh, this you cannot say. When, for example, I go on TV, I sit and I read my set of jokes to two lawyers and the authors of a TV show, because they're always scared about what are you going to say, what are you going to do. You cannot name the Pope, you cannot name this kind of thing.
I think every TV channel is the same, but I don't think talking about the Pope is a big problem. Like if someone want to joke about the Archbishop of the Anglican Church, I think it's not off limit.
Can you say that he's a pedophile?
But you don't have factual...
Yeah, but the Vatican, you have factual, no?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
In Italy, for example, that would be problematic if you go like on 9 p.m. on a TV show and you say Epstein Island, or as we call it in Italy, the Vatican. That would be impossible to say.
Oh, and you can only do that because your special is on YouTube.
Yes. I mean, for some sense, it's very conservative. Italy, when it comes to progressive jokes, when it comes like to attacking power or dismantling social constructs, stereotypes, progressivism, people get very upset. On the other hand, it's very liberal when it comes to racist jargon. Sometimes when people do say he's a politically incorrect comedian, they are like saying the N-word or like going around saying the F-word. Like, this is not really politically incorrect. You guys are in government. I mean, the majority of the Italian is not like, oh, the word is getting...
So what's the point complaining about comedy when politics itself is not say shit show, but it's like what they say that House of Cards used to be such a dramatic series, but after the actual White House changed power, who cares about House of Cards? Okay, we touch upon so much politics. I mean, we set out cross-cultural comparison, but there's a lot of politics today, so I want to end on a pure linguistic point. After watching a special, I really like the rhythm. I wish my Italian can progress further. And I guess with how you conjugate the verbs, it creates a much easier rhyming opportunity. This joke that I really like when you were comparing three big religions, you then say that the only thing that distinguishes the three major religions is their relationship with children. The Catholic, I don't know what verb to use. Your Catholic them, the Jewish people kill them, and the Muslim marry them, right? The idea, it sounds very, very funny, but I just think that when delivered in Italian, it had this little extra edge of the melodic nature of the language. I don't know if you feel so, but it is your language, so you probably don't...
No.
You say I cattolici li scopano, gli ebri li uccidono, and the musulmani li spostano. It's because you conjugate the third person plural.
And also I wrote the joke in the way they would rhyme.
If you translate this joke back to English, it rhymes because it's the same word. Them. Do you see my point?
You have an anaphora in English.
I butchered it so much. Can you read that thing for our audience again?
L'unica cosa che distingue le grandi religioni del libro è il rapporto che hanno con i bambini. Cioè, i cattolici li scopano, gli ebrei li uccidono e i musulmani li sposano. Sì? It's...
Applause. Right, that's it. That's a recording today. How do people find you on social media? You talk about a book is coming out.
Yeah. I'm.
I don't have a lot of listeners in Italy.
No worries.
There's been one person from Tirana that ever listened to this podcast once in the last 6 months. So it's probably not going to help.
So maybe it was me. Maybe it was me. That was when I was listening from Tirana. No, I have some projects on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Xhuliano Dule, Dule. I'm writing a book. It's called After the Death of a Duce. Another one is made.
A duke, you mean?
No, Duce, like Benito Mussolini. Like,
okay.
Because, funnily enough, my real surname in Albania is not Dule. It's Duce. So we had to change it during the communist years because it wasn't allowed to have the surname of the Italian dictator. Xhuliano Dule. So I'm the heir of Benito Mussolini, apparently.
Pronounce carefully. Stay away from douche. It's quite
douche.
a difference.
I'm also a douche to some people. You know how many times I get that on the comments? The book is coming out. Is a bit of a semi-biographic novel about growing up as an immigrant in Italy. But there are several stories about drug dealing and stuff. So it's a comedy.
Italiano?
Yes.
Okay.
It's written in Italian. My comedy special is coming out. I'm going for the new tour. It's starting. I'm launching it tomorrow. It's called Remuntada. It's a show about the wins that you had in your life when everyone gave you as a loser. So
if you go on YouTube, you can go to the caption setting and choose auto-generated, and you can actually choose English.
Yeah.
So even though you don't understand it, you can read the subtitle just to...
And the rhythm is very beautiful, as we were told. And I speak very fast. It sounds musical, so it's fine. Yeah, and tonight... I don't know, this is all right, but we might see in some comedy club in London when I get the balls to come here and, be brave enough.
Yeah, well, definitely it's not tonight. It maybe take a few months to come out, but probably when the episode is out, the book's already out, so...
Yeah, just watch it on the social media. I have to actually self-promote myself, which is kind of a very humiliating...
Aren't we all the time?
Yeah, it's very humiliating. It's like, can you come to my comedy show? I'm great.
Okay, so to sum up, it may or may not come out when this episode is out, but vediamo. I'm going to say a great thanks to my guest today, Xhuliano Dule. Grazie mille. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Please follow, subscribe, and like both of us on social media, and I will see you very soon. Ciao.
Ciao a tutti e a tutte.